much every moron who walks through the doors looks forward to getting physical, in some sense of the word, but I'm sure this is not what they had in mind. Now, something similar happened to this guy who sported a rather unusual bio for the kind of things he was into.
I just gotta put this in the dryer real quick.
Okay.
You see, Matthew Cogorn sported Jesus Rocks in his bio. I mean, seriously? Pretty sure Big Man Jay wouldn't exactly approve of the antics this guy was into. But anyway, this dude showed up at the house hyped up and ready for some action, but guess what? Big fat no-go. It's even worse that this fella turned out to be nothing more than a total trap. Yeah, he fooled us all. Wondering how? Well, let me recap for a bit. So, this moron had been chattering away like a broken record, like absolutely no breaks whatsoever. I don't think he really breathed either. But the moment Chris threw a simple question his way, dude clammed up real fast. Barely squeezed out more than a few measly words. It was almost as if all that talk was just for show, and when it came down to it, he was lost for word. Classic, right?
It's been on the road 2 hours.
Okay. What was your plan here today?
I can't answer that.
Online, this loser had a lot of disgusting things to talk about, but when he was pushed into a corner, he tried to play innocent. Yeah, that look on his face, definitely the cleanest, best pleasure. But you know what? When he finally found the courage to speak up, what he said got Chris thinking for a solid minute. I mean, what do you think he meant by this?
Jeans in your jeans.
Keep your what?
Jeans in your jeans.
Jeans in your jeans.
Okay, did anybody get what he said? I gotta admit, it seemed like Chris was in the same boat until he broke it down for us. Basically, he told Chris to keep your jeans in your jeans. You know, like DNA, the pants, I thought it was clever. Either way, I think this advice wasn't just for Chris, it was meant for all of us watching and maybe even for himself. It's a way of saying, hey, let's not get too carried away with our impulses, so just take this guy's advice, keep it in your pants, y'all, unless you want to land in jail, of course. Well, Sherlock really got me there. But here comes the moment we've all been waiting for.
Get on the ground! Get down on the ground! All the way down, down.
The officers literally just push him into the ground like he was nothing. Yeah, he was nothing, so that tracks. I mean, I think the cops just want to vent out their frustration after a long day at work. And I, for one, definitely don't feel sorry for any of these weirdos. Well, Jesus rocks indeed, because like he would have wanted, our man was thrown into the slammer. But before we move on to the next loser, one round of applause for the team. I mean, the whole bit of improvisation they did with the blonde wig and all, top class. Although it did look hilarious, Emily totally rocked that wig, didn't she? But it looks like not many viewers were a fan of seeing Emily go blonde. Kinda like this user here who thought the show would have done a better job because the golden wig she was wearing looked more like a mop than actual hair. Yeah, actually, you know what? I can't unsee it now. It's kinda disturbing, actually. Ah, jeez. Thanks for spoiling my TCAP experience at SamWilson8851. But at least Matthew was kinda prepared for what was to follow, unlike this next loser who decided to bolt the moment he saw Chris.
But I made some sweet tea if you want some.
I'm sure it's good.
And personally, I don't blame him, really. That would be Christopher Cannon, who was 100% prepared for a good serve and a sweet tea. And you see those pristine-ass shoes he's wearing? Well, that pair is about to come in real handy for this guy. I mean, just look at his face change the moment that Chris walks into the room.
Oh, why don't you have a seat real quick?
Oh, yeah, I know what this is.
No, please, I need you.
Yeah, I know what this was.
Yeah, that's my boy Chris, all set for takeoff. He tried to just laugh it off and thought, you know what, I can get away from this real quick. I'm fast as fuck. And well, he did try, because it looks like we got an Usain Bolt on the run.
What do you think it was? Nothing.
Loser boy wasn't even trying to look anywhere and went straight for his car. But little did he know the police officers were faster than him.
Get down.
Whoa, that's what I call a total knockdown. Looks like those shoes didn't help him much in his sprint. Either way, this next guy was already facing the heat for his past actions, but did it stop him in any way? Nah.
To the house that 36-year-old Todd Lewis is a registered sex offender.
No lessons learned here. I mean, dude actually drove for 6 entire hours just to spend a few minutes with the setup. Yeah, that's not the height of desperation. I don't know what is, dude.
I was thinking about that.
Were you?
Yeah. Wow.
Either way, too bad. Looks like biker boy Todd Lewis came all the way just to get himself arrested.
Okay, I wasn't sure what you liked, so I got you M&M's and Hershey.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Look at him just giving out gifts like it was nothing. He trying to bribe his way in? Well, I sure hope not, because that's gonna land him in even more trouble. Ugh, smile on his face too. I don't know about it, but it's just making me see red. Remember I told you about how this dude was already in trouble though? Well, this was literally his reaction when Chris asked him about it.
Yes.
And tell me about that case.
No, I won't.
I've got the picture right here of you.
You don't really need to. We already know everything. Besides, your face just kinda says it all, dude. Ain't no way you can smile your way out of this one, you prick. But hold up, cause I got some more info to drop.
Got in a lot of trouble. I'm on probation now, so as you sit on that stool right now, you're on probation.
Yeah, this weirdo was already on probation, and here he was trying to probe into things he shouldn't even be around. Dude really thought he had it in the bag this time, but just look at the irony. In the end, he was the one who ended in the bag. Really though, we gotta give props to the cops. In seconds, they'd pinned Todd to the ground, and well, one hell of a way to arrest someone. Honestly, I'm all for it. Now, he may not have learned his lesson, but this next jerk sure did.
Hey! I'm glad you made it.
This loser right here with that ugly jacket on is Malik Washington, and for a second it looked like he'd gotten lost on his way to the house. But yeah, he eventually did make it.
Unless you in a rush.
I just want to know beforehand, you know?
Ask a question, it'll be easier.
Well, he got comfy real fast, didn't he? Either way, let's see if he can keep that confidence intact when Chris shows at the beach. Yeah, the whole story took a turn from there on out, and the dude wasn't even sure of how old he was.
Me, I'm 17.
What year were you born?
85, I think.
Okay, in truth, he was 27, 10 years older than he claimed. Yeah, dude thought he could play this whole situation off like some kind of joke, and with that goofy grin still plastered across his face, which looks oh so punchable. Either way, let me tell ya, Smile's about to run for the hills. All I can say is you better prepare for what's coming, because it's not gonna be a laughing matter. You see, Malik wanted to brush things aside and say that he was trying to hang out, but his chat logs say otherwise.
Those are your words, right? You asked her, when are you ready for me to pop that cherry?
Wait, did he say pop that cherry? No. Sorry, dude, ain't happening today. When he realized that, all he could ask was this.
Alright, so you asked me all these questions. Who are you?
Buddy, I don't think you're in a position to be asking questions right now, especially in that tone, young man. As if that wasn't enough, when Chris told him about the show, you wouldn't believe what this dumbass asked for.
You mean leave the beach?
Can you give me a ride home? Because I want to walk.
I can't give you a ride, I'm sorry.
The actual heck? I thought it was okay to ask for a drive back home? Well, you sure are gonna get a ride, but the destination's gonna be a new home. It amazes me how these losers think the world revolves around them. Anywho, let's get to the moment we've all been waiting for.
The bad news is,
Jeez, those officers really came out of nowhere and tackled the hell out of him. I mean, he deserved it, but still. Pretty sure he got some serious sand in his mouth too. Just look at it. Well, the ride ain't quite over yet, cause now we got Anthony Sorrentino, who took his job as a waiter too seriously.
within 15 minutes, Sorrentino is at the door.
You can sit here if you want.
Yeah, you heard that right. It only took 15 minutes for this loser to show up at the house. Like I said, this waiter didn't want anyone to wait for him. But all that enthusiasm went straight out the window the moment he laid his eyes on Chris.
What are you doing here?
Kinda looked like Chris caused his brain to short circuit. I mean, what was that all about? Well, guess what? It was time to throw an honest question at this prick.
Boy, you're willing to have... You were scared.
Yeah.
Why would you be scared if you were just coming over here to talk?
Exactly. Go on, explain to us. If you were only gonna talk about baseball and football like you earlier claimed, why the heck are you shitting bricks? Gotcha. Didn't really think that through, did ya? What can I say though? Chris being Chris had no chill whatsoever.
So you've seen the show? Well, now you're on it.
I mean, you have to give it to him. I mean, Chris never does fail to surprise us with his sass. And then finally, it was showtime. Wait, did you see that? Was he trying to get back into the house? Like, dude, no place in this world you can go to escape the consequences of your wrongdoings. But will you just look at it the way the cops spin him to the ground? That's just the beginning of what's to follow, and I guess now he's got all the time in the world to talk about his obsession with different balls. Anywho, this next one on the list is gonna make your skin crawl like no other.
The neighbors might see me out here.
Wait, what? Did he just ask to flash? Not to a great start, ain't we? This vile prick we're looking at is William Roach, and yes, that is his real last name appropriately, who looked nasty and suspicious right from the get-go. Like the bug.
Someone in the house?
No, but someone's gonna see me.
Yeah, he wasn't entirely sure about the whole meetup sitch and was constantly looking around for some kind of hint to make his great escape. And just when he tried to bounce, this is what happened.
Get on the ground! I didn't do anything! Come on, dude, I didn't do anything!
Oh yeah, he totally deserved that. Cops went full throttle on him and literally threw him off his feet. All the while, you could hear the loser screaming out and claiming his innocence. But hey, who are we trying to fool here, buddy? Everybody knows why he showed up in the first place, and let's not forget that he had some crazy requests to make as well. Either way, cops weren't here for his lame excuses and showed him zero sympathy as they searched him inside out. Meanwhile, the roach simply couldn't stop whining. While I accept he didn't really get a chance to put his disturbing thoughts into action, I don't think I really wanted to hear it in the first place. One look at the chat logs and you've got enough evidence to throw him behind bars forever. Shame he couldn't escape through a tiny crack in the wall, eh? With that, let's move on to this next guy, who is very proud of how he identified himself.
Be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, this idiot couldn't even bother to dress for his date. His name is Michael, he's a generic white dude, and yeah, that's the screen name he went by as well. This dude was an entirely different character. I mean, just look at him.
Seat there. Hungry? How does it taste?
Great.
Yeah, he was completely unbothered by the presence of a tall gentleman towering over him. I preferred it even. While Chris was trying his best to intimidate him, Michael was busy munching on cookies. His comfort in the situation left several viewers uncomfortable. I mean, if someone in such a situation can remain this calm, you just know there's something to be concerned about. And despite several attempts from Chris to break his composure, dude continued to ramp up his arrogance.
Not really.
Okay, so you're good. If I ask you a couple questions.
I mean, look at him. Tell me he hasn't done stuff like this before.
Is this some kind of setup or something?
What do you mean?
I'm just on my way to the beach.
Yeah, so you were just heading to the beach and showed up at the house for what exactly? Just the look of him was giving me a headache, but his mouth was even more foul than his appearance.
Of course, online.
You act like I should know that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a common thing now.
By then, Chris couldn't hold back his anger any longer, and honestly, I can't blame him. I'd be frustrated just being in the same zip code as this guy, let alone the same friggin' room. Karma's being a bitch though, and it served him perfectly well.
Out the back, he stumbles off the porch.
Yeah, dude couldn't even walk in a straight line, and yet he talked about doing all sorts of things online. But the cops weren't gonna let this idiot off the hook easily.
The police quickly take him down to the ground.
They literally flung him across, and before you know it, he came crashing to the ground. And what a delightful sight that was. Now, who's ready to meet a chemistry teacher who took his subject a tad bit too seriously?
You ever watch Dateline? I was watching it yesterday.
Don't think so. Is it good?
Oh well, guess who's starting to end up on the show now? Yep, Deepak Biss was no stranger to the show, and he decided to take his chemistry lessons one step further and bring extra credits. Soon as he walked in, dude hardly took any time to get comfy.
I'm trying.
Right from handing out gifts to bunches of flowers, man was on a roll. But hey, nothing romantic about his intentions, trust me.
So we have chocolate and flowers.
With that, though, it was time for Chris to interrupt his little date. Now, we've seen all kinds of reasons these weirdos come up with when they're put in a tough spot, but this guy decided to play the victim. Shocking. Crazy how he didn't stick to his usual excuses that these guys often come up with. And despite knowing about the consequences of being caught in the act, nothing could stop him from bringing along a whole pack of love gloves and lotion. Sadly, there ain't no chemical reaction happening today, and Deepak was about to learn it the hard way. Like, really hard.
You got any weapons on you?
Yeah, that's gotta hurt pretty bad, and it does suck to be in his position, but hey, he did this to himself, so who are we kidding? Either way, this next loser probably had the craziest takedowns ever. Just look at this and tell me what you think.
Got off the phone with the guy who's claiming to be a cop. We don't know that he is, but he says he carries his gun everywhere with him.
Damn, dude was a cop? What's more, he actually drove for 5 hours. Jeez, just to make it to a sting house? That's a wasted day right there. Either way, it looks like he prioritized his base desires over, you know, protecting and serving, all that jazz. With someone with so much experience behind him, one can never be too sure of how things would turn out.
Lift up your shirt. Turn around.
I mean, they had to make sure he was unarmed. The dude was a freaking cop after all. It wouldn't have taken a second for him to pull the trigger if things went south. Also, that's not the kind of risk the production crew was willing to take. Anyway, after a brief check, Michael Patterson made his way into the sting house, and once inside, dude could not believe his luck. Just couldn't stop smiling, and it looked like he was having the best day of his life. Yeah, laugh all you want, bud, because you're not gonna be laughing much longer. Still can't imagine how he actually had the audacity to ask this.
So you're excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Are you excited?
I mean, hell yeah, I'm sure as hell excited to see you get arrested, dude.
So, Lieutenant,
What's up?
what are we investigating tonight?
Nothing much.
When Chris made his entrance, dude tried to make himself appear like a lost and lonely man who was only looking for some company. And of course he made a bunch of empty promises and vowed to never repeat any of this again. But when Chris asked him to leave, Michael bolted towards the door. Guess you already know what's gonna happen next. But it didn't play out like it usually does on the show.
Patterson steps back into the house, and an officer shoots him with a taser gun.
Well, I'm sure he felt every bit of the current passing through his nerves, and that scream of his like music to my ears. Just sad to see men in uniform stoop so low. Don't worry though, because in the end he did get what he deserved, and you won't believe what happened next.
Please help me! Oh, dear God!
Looked like the cops were venting all their frustration on him. It's gotta be one of the most brutal arrests of all time. But wait though, list doesn't end here, y'all. We got one last mention, and let's just say he paid for his sins real good.
Hey, hold on a second. I gotta change my shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no way that this list was going to be complete without bringing up this piece of garbage. David K., not the voice actor, was so chill with the whole idea of banging a newbie that he strolled around the house like he frickin' owned it.
See?
There was not a moment where you could see any hint of anxiety or worry in this man's eyes. He was so sure of himself and what he was here to do that nothing prepared him for the man who would put an end to his prestigious career as a religious figure. And guess what? Found someone who actually served time with him in federal prison. He was quoted as saying, "I'll never forget the evil I saw in his eyes. You could feel the evil surround him." I don't know about evil, buddy, but I'd say more stupidity. They're synonymous. Either way, I don't doubt that he is a bit of a scumbag, but it's what this next viewer said that really got me worried. He goes on to say that this was not his first time, and more importantly, it will not be his last. Oh man, that last line got me. I mean, this dude was hiding his vile plans under the veil of holiness, and nothing spells evil more than that. Good luck talking to Big J when you die, buddy. This old prick was surrounded by people like the setup over the years he was a pastor, and it's hard to imagine someone of his status indulging in disturbing behavior like this. But you know what? His laugh didn't last very long, because once Chris walked into the room, he knew he was done, dusted, and over.
I suggest you sit down.
Please sit and pray. David froze, shocked, stunned, bamboozled, flabbergasted. Boy had a big honkin' bola, oh god. At the unpredictable turn of events, never did he ever imagine he would be caught in such a humiliating and compromising way. And Chris wanted to make sure he understood that loud and clear.
Not good. That's kind of an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, this didn't look good in any way or form. Here's the thing though, it was only gonna get worse for the guy. If Chris dropping his identity wasn't enough, when the cameras came out, we saw the real David K., the monster, emerge in full. Unable to digest the truth, David tried to destroy the evidence by doing this.
You don't want to.
Yeah, he literally got off his chair and went straight for the camera first before making his way to Chris.
You don't want to touch anybody. You don't want it.
But hold it right there, old man. Ain't no going back from there, and the sooner you accept that, the better for you. By the way, he's probably the only jerk who tried to charge at Chris. This dude was on an entirely different level. I mean, can you believe that he actually traveled 5 entire hours just to roll up to the Sting house? Yeah, first he hitched a bus, and then a cab, and made it all the way just to hook up with the setup. Forget about being desperate, dude was high on determination and degeneracy. What's more, it had barely been a day since he'd first struck a conversation with the setup. Ooh, makes you wonder, how much time did this creepo actually have on his hands? Just to shut away from the rest of his life and journey towards some random place to meet some random person at some random hour. But for someone with so much free time on hand, Joseph Roisman seemed to be in a big hurry. I mean, just look at him sprinting like he was some kind of athlete, literally dashing towards the house. Looks like my dude couldn't keep his cool any longer. But you know what? He wasn't any ordinary athlete. He was actually in the military, enlisted in the Navy even. Damn, what's up with all these guys? On one side, they're willing to give up their lives for their country, and on the other, they're willing to give up their actual lives for degeneracy. Makes you think. Either way, you won't believe what he did next.
Really warm. I turned it on a couple hours ago.
Wait. What's he trying to do? Show off his chiseled body or something? 6 out of 10. Either way, like I said earlier, dude was hungry for some action. As soon as the setup mentioned the hot tub, he couldn't resist taking a dip. One way or the other, he was all set to get wet, and if it wasn't for the sting op, you can imagine where this guy was headed to. Even when Chris walked out, dude was still walking around, squaring his shoulders like he was the one in charge. Anyway, Chris wanted to first start with crippling his confidence, but just look at this loser, you guys. No regrets whatsoever. Shameless.
Honest mistake.
Honest mistake.
This is my first time doing this.
First time.
You know, honestly, to me, that was not an honest answer. Yeah, I'd like to bet my whole money that this definitely wasn't his first time. And trust me, after all these days of covering douchebags like him, I can tell when someone is a habituated offender or a first-timer trying his luck. Again, what amazes me is that no matter how much Chris tried, he just couldn't break this dude's confidence. He's like one of those fake alpha male guys you see online nowadays. Despite knowing that he was going to be soon featured on a show known for, well, you know, revealing how disgusting some people are, this is how he reacted.
Thank you very much.
This man's long journey.
Yeah, just as he was making his exit, dude actually walked up and shook hands with Chris. It's kind of like he was meeting up with one of his buddies or something. I mean, seriously, guy actually thought this was the end of it and he could just walk out the door scot-free, nothing ever happened, he's probably gonna go do this again? But you know that's not what happens, right? How's it feel to be arrested, bud? Dude finally lost all the color on his face and the cops slapped the cuffs on his wrist. And well, we don't need men like this one fighting on the line for us. Either way, this next user had some rather strong opinions to share. He says, the fact that this guy was in the Navy really makes me sick. Not only does this make him look bad, but it makes the Navy and the military in general look bad. I'm a Navy veteran, and I hope that he went to court-martial. Yeah, this guy's making the Navy look bad. They could do that on their own. Either way, hell yeah, pretty disappointing, am I right? Crazy how people choose to live this kind of a double life, but at least Joseph walked in alone, unlike this next loser who brought his friends along. Yep, that is Maruf Farouk, who is one of those guys that likes to bring the party home. Problem was, it wasn't his home. There's more to this guy than you could ever imagine, and more people too.
Are those your friends outside?
So while two friends were lurking around the corners of the house, one of them made his way in, and this is where things get interesting.
You have a seat right over there on that stool right there.
Alright, so this guy you're looking at is not Maruf. He was just a scout who Maruf used to make sure everything was okay on the inside. What makes things worse is that Maruf had chosen a guy who was way younger to do the dirty job for him. And where was Maruf at? Well, just outside the house, waiting for the green signal to get the deed over and done with. When Chris struck up a convo with the scout, yeah, let's call him that for now, he revealed that he was just helping his friends out, and he honestly didn't know what he was here for. Now, I'm gonna let you decide whether you want to believe him or not, but it doesn't change the fact that he's accomplice to what Maruf was trying to do. You may be charged differently if found guilty, but that doesn't mean you'd be allowed to get off scot-free. Let's talk about the man of the hour now, shall we? Right from Maruf's chats to the fact that he actually used someone to scout for him, everything about this guy was a total red flag. That and his chats are so graphic that you two might come after me for even mentioning them, so I'm gonna leave them to your imagination for the most part, but I'll tell you this much. Dude had a ton of ideas when it came to his tongue. Ah, that red flag is shining so brightly right now that Winnie the Pooh over in China's saluting it. Oh, and of course, he knew if anything went sideways, he'd land in some serious trouble, which is why when the scout took way longer than expected, Maruf put Plan B into action.
They're running. They're taking off.
Yeah, dude didn't think twice before hitting the road. He, along with the other friend actually, abandoned the scout to face the music by himself, but they had no idea that they were being watched.
Put your hands up. Go down your knees.
But the police take them into custody.
Once the arrests were made, the cops finally started to sort the mess. Eventually, the two friends were released and Maruf was taken into custody. And this is also what the cops had to say.
That masterminded this plan. The other two individuals.
Well, you better be careful with who you hang out with, cause you never know which one of your friends may turn out to be a Maruf. But this dude wasn't the only one who showed up with company. This next dude also decided to bring along a rather special wingman. And really, I just can't stop thinking about how excited these two morons looked as they walked into the Sting house.
Pour me a drink. I'm gonna actually go change so we can get in the hot tub.
I mean, just look at them, beaming with confidence. Main man here is Polkit Mahur, who didn't want to have all the fun by himself. While he was the mastermind, he asked his friend to tag along, and well, Kanish Lakpal simply couldn't turn him down. Either way, though, Mahur wanted the setup for himself, so what would his friend do? Well, Polkit actually asked the setup if she could bring along another chick for his friend. Yeah, a double blind date at, you know, the Sting house. Stop me if you've heard before. Anyway, little did Polkit know that he was not only getting himself caught in the trap, but his friend as well. And that's when the setup's double date showed up. Chris was right there.
Would you have a seat right over there, please?
Oh, so you gotta hear what Polkit had to say when Chris asked him to explain himself.
Yeah, I might have chatted, but that was only for, like, that's a chatting. That's not nothing intentional.
You know, it's crazy how some people try to downplay their involvement like, oh, it was just chatting. Come on, let's be real here. If it's just chatting, why the hell did you show up? Clearly his explanation made absolutely no sense, but that didn't stop him from dishing out one excuse after another like a machine gun.
Oh, that is just a chat. That's it. No, I don't.
Just a chat.
I don't feel like it.
Well, it sounds like you felt...
Seriously? Honestly, try harder, dude. Kind of excuses he was coming up with were so lame and stupid. But what's even more infuriating was how he was trying to lie through his teeth when everyone in the room already knew the truth. It was pointless and honestly only made the whole sitch worse. Like, just own up to it, because their floundering around was just straight up pathetic.
I'm not aware that she's a...
Online, the decoy told Pookie007 US more than once.
I think the chat history would beg to differ. Like, who are you even trying to lie to? Someone in the YouTube comments even joked about how the prick was wiping the sweat off his face the whole time he was lying. There wasn't enough proof, don't worry, because his body just said it all. But wanna know what the worst part here is? Dude wasn't even a local. Apparently he had just come around for business.
We are not like that, guys. We are not like that.
Yeah, and after everything that went down, instead of taking any accountability, dude decided to get defensive. He desperately tried to convince Chris that he was innocent, just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but I mean, come on, dude. Just like the other two guys from the previous sting, his accomplice was let loose too. But Pulkit was struck facing the music. Now, I'm kinda convinced that his friend was probably in on the plan, but since the cops couldn't find any concrete evidence against him, they had no choice but to let him go. Dude must be thanking his lucky stars as he narrowly escaped trouble, but I can't say the same about Pulkit. Now, you think that scumbags like Pulkit are pretty rare, but sadly you'd be wrong. Because up next on our list is a Marine who was doing everything besides his duty. And I'm not only talking about his duty to his country, but also his duty when it came to his wife.
He's 25-year-old Yancey Wallace, a newlywed. He and his wife, who happens to be in the Air Force, have only been married for 2 months.
Can you believe that it only been a few days that this dude got married and he was already out looking for seconds? Talk about being a disgusting piece of crap. Honestly, I just feel bad for his wife. Just look at this loser. Just only one thing running through his mind.
Does that sound okay?
Did you just try to follow up and watch the setup strip? Like, heard of boundaries, dude? However, that was only until Chris decided to step out and wipe that grin off his face. However, my man here thought playing the victim card might just get him out of this mess.
A lot of trouble. How so?
Because I'm stupid.
Because you're stupid.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, calling yourself stupid ain't gonna work. I've tried it with regular stuff and it doesn't work, and this is a very severe situation. We all know what you're here for, and wait till your wife hears of it. Oh, and your CEO, and the Marines, and the Armed Forces, and the judge. Either way, dude just kept doubling down, and tripling down, and quadrupling down, and, well, I think you get the idea. Either way, when he realized nothing was working in his favor, he dropped a bombshell.
What'd you think about the show when you saw it?
I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah, this moron actually knew about the show. The sting operation, the setups, the aftermath, everything. Yet for some reason he thought he was going to be the only one to walk away because he was a freaking Marine. But then he was suddenly struck with another realization.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he tried his best, but I guess he didn't remember that the crew starts filming even before Chris makes his entrance. And well, looks like the show was popular with more than one loser, because this next dude had a good idea about it too. William Rowell was just so completely desperate, and it was apparent right from the start because as soon as he entered the house, you wouldn't believe what he said.
If you don't want to.
What, I can't go to your room with you?
Yeah, straight to jail with this guy, please. Don't pass go, don't collect $200, don't get freedom. Either way, since this loser had already seen the show, what he did next was pretty unexpected.
Actually, I'd rather for you to come. Oh, sir. Sir, I need to talk to you a minute.
Yeah, he almost instantly made a run for it, but he had to have known who would be waiting for him outside. Now, you're not gonna believe that this was him literally 2 minutes before.
I'm just finishing getting ready.
You didn't have to take a shower.
And you know what? Before even coming into the house, he stopped at a pharmacy to buy... I'm sure you can imagine what. So clearly his intentions were super pure, you guys. Either way, here comes the funny part.
Will.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground now!
Yeah, remember when I said somebody would be waiting for him? Now, I can't believe how someone who knows about the consequences, let alone what goes down on TCAP, and followed through anyway. Which reminds me of this guy who was pretty persistent in his attempts to snag a deal at the Sting House. Thomas Motive was a man with a plan, and while most losers walk into the Sting House completely clueless, Thomas was different.
He's trying to wave her out to the street, no way.
Yeah, he literally was calling out to the setup from his car. Dude was probably trying to get the setup somewhere more private, but there's no way the crew was gonna allow that. But hey, gotta give it to him. Old dude really thought he had some game.
I'm trying to hit on you and you're laughing at me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. Am I freaking you out?
Yeah, buddy, why don't you shut up because you're freaking everyone out? So, what did you drive 2 hours for? And at 4 in the morning, no less. To get arrested? But wait till you see this. It gets much worse.
Okay, how about after I come in, I'll strip?
For reals?
Sure, if you want me to.
Yeah, he knew everything about the show too, even the fact that it aired on NBC. And yet, here he comes. As soon as he entered the house, the dude grew suspicious, and he could tell something was on. Right from the girl calling him in, walking behind the curtains, asking him to wait. Dude must have been having some real fierce deja vu. He was probably thinking, wait a minute, where have I seen this before? And at that moment, he knew what to do.
Cautious. Moth 1960 senses something different about the girl in the house.
Yeah, he immediately made a break for the door while Chris tailed right behind him. Anyway, I'm kind of disappointed that Chris couldn't really get to talk to him, but hey, more for the cops.
He's arrested.
Down, what are you doing? Put your hand behind your back!
Yeah, so Thomas denied everything throughout interrogation, but the cops weren't in any mood to let him free. Dude actually tried to blame the setup for calling him over, asking him to bring a whole pack of skins along, but who are you trying to fool here, dude? Well, at least he had even the tiniest bit of restraint, unlike this next dude.
Did you want to be the cop or the robber?
Oh, I don't care.
This loser right here is Thomas Bodner, and let me tell you, dude was a frequent offender. It's almost like he was addicted to talking online and couldn't stop himself from talking to, well, the sort of people that'll land you on TCAP. What's more, he'd already gotten into trouble once, but somehow had not learned his lesson yet. But you know what he did when he saw Chris?
How you doing? Wait,
Bodner runs out the door as soon as he sees me.
Wow, dude can move. Look at him bolt towards the door. Honestly, kind of impressive, but not impressive enough to get him out of trouble.
By investigators.
Oh my god, did you see that? Hell, landing into a friggin' hurt. Cops took their best shot and, well, looks like he landed on his face.
Your time for? What were you charged with?
My brother, I'd say right there.
Ooh. Guy's head could have cracked in half for sure, and he might have actually had a case against these guys. Either way, hope that scar he's gonna be carrying for the rest of his life will be a good reminder to not mess with the wrong people anymore. What drives me crazy is the fact that despite everything, dude would not confess to any of it. He continued to be in denial as well, and that's just pissing me off.
Never really did. Sure he did. You know why I know?
Yeah, he tried to lie his way out, but as you know, the chats don't lie. But I gotta agree, his idea of fun was still way better than this next guy's. Todd Spikes was looking for some action, but not just with the setup. Like,
Ew, but then you would have my mom's germs on you.
I'd wash off before.
what the heck, this loser really thought he could say this and get away with it? And you know what's scarier? When he said this.
I used to be a cop. Was a cop for 15 years.
Yeah, the dude was a cop. He fully knew what kind of trouble he was getting into, and yet, here he was. You see, there was a lot of buzz among the crew when he popped up on the chat, and most of them thought that he'd never make it to the house. But hey, my man said I'm proving him wrong. Drove for miles just to shoot his shot. Doesn't mean he wasn't cautious, though. While most morons head straight to the driveway, Todd was circling around the house, making sure he had a clean entry. Damn, putting those cop skills to his use honestly sucks to see. Thankfully, he was busted before anything actually went down, but you gotta see what the cops found on him.
After we actually took him out of the vehicle, he advised us that he had firearm on him.
Yeah, that's right. Loser was packing some serious heat. And that wasn't even the half of it.
Including this military assault rifle that was leaning on the passenger seat, ready to fire.
He had more where that came from. Forget about the setup. Had things gotten out of hand, this could have gotten south real quick for the police. Crazy how we thought he could flash his badge and get away with everything. And not so fast, man. Kinda sick of seeing so many dudes on the force showing up at the Sting house. But there ain't nobody who disgusts me more as this next guy, though.
Hello?
Hi.
Hey, hold 1 second. I got change for your shirt. Yeah.
I think you already know who I'm talking about. For those of you who don't know, this weirdo might just look like any other dude, but what if I told you this guy was a rabbi gone rogue? Just look at the kind of confidence beaming out of this vile man as he walked into the house. With a smile you could see a reflection in that ever so confident stance, David K., not the voice actor, had to have done stuff like this before. Dude was strolling around like he owned the damn place. Honestly, it's more terrifying than the guys who were more cautious earlier on this list.
See?
But now that he was caught in the middle of a sting, thankfully he won't be smiling for much longer. That's because as soon as Chris entered the scene, the excitement drained from his face and the rabbi was no fool. Mostly. He immediately realized that he was in a real bad sitch. And before he did anything that could land him in more trouble, he took his time to calculate his next move.
I suggest you sit down.
Yeah, there was a lot at stake. One wrong move and he was done. Granted, he was done either way, but you know. Every last bit of his composure fell away when the cameras came out zooming in on his face. He had no idea that he was being filmed, and as soon as he saw the cameras, he saw his entire world crumble before his eyes. And there was only one way to prevent that from happening.
Computer predators. Oh, no. Come on, you don't want.
Yup, dude lunged towards the cameras. Not sure what or whom he was aiming at, but he did get close enough to Chris for security to step in. Thankfully, Chris managed to get out of there unscathed, but the dude was not finished yet.
You don't want to touch anybody. You don't want it.
What the actual heck was that? He even try to do? Was he trying to be John Cena for a second there? The sudden burst of energy was completely shocking and, well, this called for some huge punishment. So he got thrown in the slammer for a long time. Seriously, Chris had a near miss with this one, but Chris just can't catch a break since this guy lunged at the setup for the very first opportunity he could get. James Fowler didn't want to waste any time, and he even got straight to the point in the chats.
Getting to the point.
I like to pleasure people and be pleasured. I just don't chat.
Thankfully, it did land him in prison. Before that, he made his way into the Sting house and did this the first second he could.
Started heading towards me. Do you want me to get you something to drink? He was definitely headed towards me for something.
He took his chance and went for it. That's pretty terrifying because imagine this tall-ass loser just walking towards you like that. Like a terrifying version of Lurch from the Addams Family. These setups aren't average, ordinary actors, mind you. These people need to face some of the most unpredictable people in the world, and you have no idea how things pan out until it's over. They had to breathe a sigh of relief when Chris enters the scene, honestly. As for this loser, he had that tried and true victim card locked and loaded.
I thought this was never gonna happen.
You thought this was never going to happen?
Yeah.
And what do you think this is?
Alright, dude assumed his actions wouldn't have any consequences, pretty standard. Even during the investigation, there was just one thing he stuck to.
Penetration. I just wanted to see how it went. That's all.
Yeah, I'm gonna call total BS on this. Forget about his chats, his intentions were written all over his face. Had it not been for Chris coming in when he did, this moron was ready to go all the way and potentially harm the setup. So these were some of the times that things could have gotten completely out of hand at the Sting house. Who do you think was the most dangerous of them all? Go ahead, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to join me on my channel's Discord server for free, where we can go into detail about every single Sting that you're interested in. What's more, I even have an exclusive server for those of you who are interested. Well, either way, I'm excited to see you there, but before you leave, make sure to smack that like, subscribe, turn on my post notes, and also don't forget to check out my latest video right here as it's pretty crazy. See you all next time.